Hello everyone and welcome back to our farm. Today's video pertains to a problem that affects most beekeepers, the dreaded problem of your hives swarming. As we all know, every year hives will swarm. This is when the queen and 50 to 70% of the worker bees leave the hive and fly off to create a new hive. Although this is nature's way for bees to reproduce, this occurrence significantly decreases the productivity of the hive and apiary. Furthermore, the new queen left in the hive has to leave the hive repeatedly to mate, and unfortunately, it is not uncommon for them not to make it back, ultimately resulting in the death of the hive. This has in fact been such a problem with us on our farm that we have questioned if our apiary is even sustainable over time. You can Google the phrase, "how to stop swarming," for suggestions on how to keep your hives from swarming. However, as you are probably aware, these methods require a lot of work, vigilance, and quite frankly, they don't always work very well. Those of you that subscribe to our channel know that on our farm, we're always trying to reduce the TEM, the time, effort, and money associated with our activities. With this in mind, we thought it would be fun to try to find a solution to the many problems caused by swarming. Our approach to this problem was simple. If you can't beat them, join them. So we went looking for a solution that does not inhibit swarming, but rather one that controls swarming. The idea is that if we can control it, then we can guide it in a way that is advantageous to us and thus make swarming a good thing. To understand our approach, you have to understand the swarming process. When bees are ready to swarm, the worker bees will leave the hive and fly around the apiary until they decide on a spot very close to the hive to ball up. Once the swarm has found a spot and balled up, the queen will leave the hive and join them. This swarm or ball of bees will stay there until scout bees find a place to live, at which point the whole swarm, including the queen, get up and go to this new place where they create a new hive. So the solution should be obvious. If you can get the swarm to ball up at a predictable place next to the apiary, then it is a matter of simply collecting the bees before they fly off and use them to create a new hive, or perhaps even to strengthen an existing hive. So for our solution, we created what we call an Apiary Swarm Collector, which consists of a long pole with approximately 1 square foot board on top with some branches to help the ball of bees support itself. We call this an Apiary Swarm Collector because it will only collect swarms leaving the apiary and not swarms looking for a place to build a new hive. To test our idea, we simply placed a couple collectors next to our apiary to see what the bees would do with them. We found that except for one occasion, we only observed swarms on our collectors. In fact, even baseball-sized balls of bees absconding from weak or collapsing hives would ball up on our collectors. Although our collectors would attract bees without any attractant, we also would at times spray Swarm Commander under a blue piece of plastic on the top of the collector. We don't know if this was necessary. However, we do know that Swarm Commander works incredibly well. For example, when the swarm leaves the hive and is flying around the apiary looking for a place close by to ball up on, if we spray Swarm Commander anywhere, they will immediately ball up there. In fact, it works so well that if we have it on our hands or the bottle is in an open pocket, they will try to ball up on us. And in case you're curious, these bees were not interested at all in lemongrass oil, commonly used in swarm traps. Now, an important point to our success might have been that there were no trees and just a few structures around our apiary. So we wondered if the lack of other good options was forcing the swarm onto our collector. and thus if the collector would only work when things like trees, bushes, fences, etc. were not nearby. To explore this a little, we put a collector next to a hive in a tree with many other large trees around it, and we did not spray the collector with Swarm Commander. Now, although there could have been residual Swarm Commander on the collector, the bees actually were drawn to our collector instead of the many large shaded branches of the surrounding trees and bushes. Of course, we need to test this many more times, but it's an encouraging start. We believe that the solution to the problems associated with swarming is simply to put out an Apiary Swarm Collector and collect what is in essence a free bee package, ready to install in a hive. This is of course a TEM-friendly way to grow your apiary that requires little time, effort, or money. When we don't need more hives in our apiary, we will also explore ways of strengthening hives by adding the bees to existing hives rather than using them to start new hives. Last thing I want to mention is that we're working on an Apiary Swarm Collector where once the bees ball up on the collector, they become trapped. In this way, we will be able to simply collect the bees at our leisure and not risk them flying off before we notice them. Currently, we're building the prototype in collaboration with engineering students at a local university. If testing shows the trap to work, then our next objective will be to add an automatic sprayer that periodically refreshes Swarm Commander, as well as a wireless notification on your phone that a swarm has been caught. Now that would be really cool. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If so, please click on our Honeybee playlist to see additional videos like this one. Lastly, since we are a relatively new channel, we would greatly appreciate if you would both subscribe and click the notification bell so that YouTube's notorious algorithms will let other people see this video too. It has really been a lot of fun, and we are truly grateful that you took the time today to come visit with us. Well, that's it for now. See you soon.